So really what I want to talk about now is some best application practice and proper mixing of source and good stewardship. And, we talked about the large application window and how we can use this with the flexibility from V4 to VT. And we talked about the low use rate, the compatibility with most herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides. But it's also key to just to go back and look at our label and some of the things that we're recommending on our label in terms of stewardship, and also when we're putting the product in the tank to make sure that we're following the proper mixing order. The very first bars at the top show that we have an application window through the corn growth period from V4 to VT. You can apply the product anytime during there, but we really think the sweet spot is the V4 to VT application, either early with the herbicide, and you can see the green bar there is when the herbicide applications are going out. And if you look at the yellow bars, you can see the application window for the fungicides. So anytime during that period, we think the product will be very effective. And as we said earlier, there's different reasons for using a product at different times. One of the things that we wanted to point out, though, after application, what we like to do is, and we will be doing in many trials this year, is taking soil samples, tissue analysis, documenting the greenness, the increase in plant growth, and really showing how these things are setting us up for the best opportunity for yield growth throughout the season. So source does have a wide window of application. I know we keep talking about it, but it's such a wonderful benefit. So the question we get is which one is best? And we talked about these earlier, is that the corn is going through a rapid growth stage from V8 onward. It pulls in a lot of nitrogen and a lot of phosphorus. So one of the solutions is early applications. The other solution is later applications, where we're starting to pull in more nitrogen and reallocating or partitioning nitrogen. As much as 55% of the nitrogen gets pulled from different parts of the plant and gets put into the grain right before harvest. As much as 80% of the phosphorus is reallocated or partitioned in the plant. So there's really not a bad time in this window to be applying the product. A lot of it will depend on maybe saving you a trip across the field and putting it out early with a herbicide or late with a fungicide. The graph on the right is a kind of a combined chart from the University of Arkansas and Iowa State, just kind of showing that typical nitrogen uptake curve that we talked about before. And you can see how steep that curve is from about V4 to VT, which is the yellow box there. And that's when we're really trying to put out the source and really time our application for when the plant is probably going to need it the very most. Basically, some of the key tips on the label, whether if you're going out in a ground application, you're going out at 10 gallons to the acre. We had very good success with this. We did a lot of aerial applications in our testing program last year, and we're going out from 2 to 5 gallons per acre with aerial application. But as you can see, the first point there at 0.7 fluid ounces per acre is a very low use rate. Remember, this product is an activator, and it doesn't require a lot of product to turn things on. The other thing that we really want to ensure is we want to ensure good coverage of the plant. Remember, our target is the corn plant, and we want to make sure that we get good application and coverage. We haven't fully vetted out the rain fastness, but what we believe is that the rain is, we get a rain-free period 2 hours after application or when the spray dries, that we'll be in pretty good shape with this information. And the other thing to keep in mind is that our research and development has basically showed that if we use an adjuvant like an NIS at 0.25% volume for volume, or 1 quart per 100, that seems to be a very good amount of adjuvant for our applications for this year. And we do know in corn, there's some adjuvants during, say, the V8 and to VT that are causing some stress in and of themselves on corn. And we don't recommend adjuvant and those particular adjuvants during that period. But in general, beyond that, where you can put out an adjuvant, it really is helpful. So that's the do's. The don'ts really are, we still need to understand a little bit, all of our tank mix partners. We've gone through many testing of some of the commonly used fungicides and herbicides and insecticides, and we've gotten very good results, and we're not concerned about them. We have seen some foliar fertilizers that have pHs above 7, and in some of those situations, we're concerned that they may chemically denature our product. So what we're going to do is not recommend high pH fertilizers that are above 7. But that really gives us a lot of tank mix partners, and we'll learn more about these fertilizers down the road. The other thing we also want to avoid is we want to avoid extreme weather conditions. Obviously, if you got rain right in the forecast, wait until you get a good rain-free period. And you want the plant actively growing. You don't want the plant shut down or curled up due to heavy drought stress, so that we can pull the product into the plant and then move it through the plant. So it's a real simple scale. This scale is not just about source. The scale is universal. It's common knowledge in the industry that there's two things that we really need to consider for best mixing practice. One of the things that we have to consider is the formulation itself. We know that some products just are not very water soluble, and they need to go into the tank earlier than products that are easily water soluble. So you deal with the problem solutions first, so the ones that require more mixing and agitation. So as we go through this chart, keep in mind that what we really want to do is fill the tank up with our carrier volume, in this case water, to half to three-fourths full. If we have any water conditioners, because in some parts of the Midwest in the country we have hard water because of calcium and magnesium, this is when you want to add your water conditioners. And then as you start to add your herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, and other products that would be going in the tank with source, you really want to make sure that the wettable powders and the water dispersible granules, in fact, some of those labels will tell you to make a slurry, really get them in the solution, and then put them into the tank. And the same is true with granules. Granules can be a little bit more challenging to mix and disperse in the tank. So we want to get those in the solution first. After that, then we can add our source or our liquid flowables or suspension, products that are fairly easy to mix and go into solution fairly well. Finally, we add our emulsifiable concentrates, and there's many on the market. I could give several examples. And then we want to fill our sprayer up. Remember that we want to maintain agitation from step 3 on after we make our slurries and dump them into the tank. But then finally, what we want to do is add our products like our adjuvants or our true solutions like glyphosate. Most of their formulations are highly water soluble and they go into solution very well.